figuring it
after
out.
all the things.
After it just had sped forever. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome,
Finally here.
welcome to the beautiful show of Liquid Sunshine for the Soul. And where we're going to talk with Ms. Heather about the power of alignment and what that truly means in mind, body, soul, and spirit reflection. And Heather and I have worked together on and off for about 5 years, and we
Yeah.
have really come into a lot of the same understandings and the way we see things and talent, skills, gifts, and abilities. So, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to sit here with you. And I know you have your hands in like six different things. So, first of all, tell us just a little bit about you, your background, and Heather with Heather's Spiritual Connections.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an
Yeah.
amazing opportunity. So, I guess I kickstarted here at Body and Soul Studios with my friend, my
Mm.
very good business partner,
Yeah.
Melissa Davis, who owns Body and
Yeah.
Soul in Heber. I went through some stuff, and that was one of the drawn to that put me here in this building. Um, I navigated some really heavy stuff, and I knew there was more. I knew there
Hmm.
had to be more
Hmm.
than I knew there had to be a purpose for what I was feeling, and I also knew that there had to be more people like me that had when gone through some trenches and just knew there had to be
Hmm.
something else. And I was able to meet my wonderful friend Melissa, and she said, I have this beautiful store, and she we do retail here. We have crystals. We do
Hmm.
retail, metaphysical. We also have an apothecary. It's one big building, like an indoor mall, kind of.
Yeah.
It's one building, and we have separate businesses. We have Brian Leasium Barber. We have a barber in here.
Oh,
Melissa
that's awesome.
does massage therapy, body code, and emotion code. And I guess you would say the building psychic. I do a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
I don't try to put myself in a box. And it's not always just one way. And I think
Right.
a lot of people get stuck on that. They get stuck
Yeah.
on, they see a lot of people and they're like, well, wait a minute. I don't understand that, or I don't feel that.
Hmm.
Um, because we're not all the same, right? We all learn different in life. And so to understand, hey, okay, I do see it that way, but I don't get there the same way that everybody else does. Does that make sense? Because we
Right.
learn different.
Ah, yeah.
So my biggest thing was there's a way to heal. There's
Hmm.
a way that we have to be able to heal. And when you can tap into somebody and go, wait a minute, you are gifted. And to
Hmm.
see them go, well, I've done that my whole life. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a gift. We all have gifts, it's are we going to tap into them, and then seeing the alignment, and it kind of all just flowed in, to be honest,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what the Sam hell was happening.
Right.
I was really struggling, and I didn't understand what all the energy was coming at me, and I was like, there has to be more. I have to figure this out. And I come across Stella, and we connected from the minute there was something. I just kept going back to her because we work so much alike.
Mhm.
And we really do. We work a lot alike. We kind of, or we're similar, but we're not the same. And she
Mhm.
don't allow herself to be put in a box neither. She's not just
Right.
one thing. She's all kinds of
Mhm.
things. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, right? Because
Right.
yeah, we may be special in one area,
Mhm.
but don't box yourself into just one thing. We
Right.
we can all do so many things. We just work a little different. So that's kind of how
Always
it
do.
happened for me. Yeah. And I've been here at
That's
Body and Soul.
beautiful.
Let's see. We opened Body and Soul, what, Missy,
Yeah.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
going on 5 years in April. We've been here
Mhm.
on Main Street in Heber City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So,
awesome.
yeah.
That's so cool. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to actually finally sit with you in this demographic. I know that it's an honor and a privilege to walk amongst so many different readers and healers and shamans and mystics and interstellar frequencies, and lead them to their discernment and credibility within themselves and their authenticity within themselves. And The power of alignment is truly something really big. And when you and I first met, there was one thing you said that captivated my soul and my spirit, exactly like I had always heard it. And it was healing mind, body, and soul, one spirit at a time. And when you said that, I knew that there was a deeper layer and a deeper connection inside of you that you were trying to unmask or undo. And the power of alignment starts really with trying to understand yourself and how you peel away those layers and where you come from and integrating those things, and you really start to get back into alignment of some type of sovereignty, I guess, is what I'll call it. And through your experiences of not only yourself and your journey, it's been an honor and a privilege to watch you grow and flourish and come into these existences of these abilities. And I remember when things just started to switch for you and you saw things way deeper and way clearer, and you started to trust yourself more and believe in yourself more, and that could only be because you were coming into alignment. Now when we talk about alignment in the mind, in the body, in the soul, and in wholeness, it's like it all breaks down into different compartments, right?
Mhm.
And so with working with the mind and the spirit of the body, how have you seen it in people's lives of what it means to you, but what you seem to see that it means to others to actually be in alignment, or alignment in the mind, or alignment in the body, and what that feels like to you personally, not only to you but also as a mentor, as a leader, as a coach, as somebody that integrates these things for people. How is it that you do that within yourself?
So I have to, after years and years and years of holding myself, like we get in these molds as we're, depending on what you're born into, we're placed in these molds. And I come from the generation, which a lot of people do, of you're to be seen and not heard. And it's really like you have to be, you have to sit for a minute and go, wait a minute. I'm more than that. And it's not allowing that negative. When you start with the mind, it's all about thoughts. I've said it always, thoughts are manifestations and words are spells. And you got to be damn careful with if you're going negative in your mind, guess what you're portraying walking down the road? Negativity. You're opening yourself up to a world of nothing but negativity. And you really have to be like, well, wait a minute. I have to pull myself back out of this for a hot second, take a deep breath. Yeah, I might have a flat tire, but wait a minute. Maybe that flat tire stalled me out for something on down the road. And I have personally seen that happen, as I'm sure a lot of other people have had stories of, if this wouldn't have happened, that would have put me in that horrible situation, right? So it's
Mhm.
for one, when I tap into somebody and me and Melissa is doing an intuitive healing session and I start tapping in, for one, the mind can block you really easy if that person's not comfortable and they're not ready. And let's face it, if you're not ready to take the jump to heal, it coming in to do a healing isn't going to work because you will literally block it. And a lot of people get freaked out because they're like, wait a minute, does that mean you're going to be tapping into some of my dirty, dark secrets?
Mhm.
Spirit only
No, it
allows us
doesn't.
to see what they want us what we need to see in that time. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't understand that. So when they get the fear of, oh shit, they can block that off in their mind and literally nothing is moving. I get no visions, I get no nothing. But when you stop and think for a minute, wait a minute, I want to heal, there is more of a purpose of what I'm going through. And I do put those mental blocks in my mind because I get up and stub my toe and think, well, this is going to be a rotten goddamn day, right? A lot of people are like, oh, great, this is how my day's going to start out. Flip the switch, honey.
Mhm.
We all are in some soup. There was days I laid on the floor when I was at my end, and I just
Mhm.
rolled around in that soup. There was days
Mhm.
that literally, it was raining soup. If I'd have my bowl upside down and it'd be raining soup, and that didn't do me a damn bit of good. But it was
Right.
my thought pattern being in
Mhm.
alignment with, wait a minute, I am worth something. I have to stop thinking negative. And then
Mhm.
when somebody opens up and says, "Wait a minute, I believe in you. I see you for who you truly are, not
Yeah,
all the
the soul.
layers
You don't
of
see
all the
anything but the
bullshit."
soul.
Yeah.
Mhm,
I see who
mhm.
you are. I see who you can
Yeah.
be, and I'm not gonna
Mm,
give up on you until you get there if you want it. If you want
if
it.
you wanted
And
it.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that, people will buy gift certificates for their family members or whatever to come in, and if they're not ready,
Mhm.
it's not gonna do us any good. Spirit
Yeah.
only. But also when you come to me and you are open, there is so much that knocks us off in the world.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not even just people, but the
Mm,
things that can knock us off and make us out of balance. And you all know that, you feel that, you walk in a store and you're in a great mood and you go bebopping into the new Smiths that they built down here, and let me tell you
mhm.
what, we have a Smiths the size of Texas in Heber City, Utah, and there's no reason we should have the big son of a bee we got, but here we are.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Right.
go bebopping into, the dadgum Smiths and you're happy go lucky and you run into Cindy Lou Sue who's getting a divorce with her husband, getting in a
Yeah.
divorce, and she's upset and she's crying and you're like, "Oh crap." Well, doing your thing and getting groceries and you're thinking about it and thinking about it. You get in your car, get headed home, and you walk in the door, and all of out of nowhere you just want to lay everybody down. The
Mhm.
groceries are breaking and the dogs are running out the door and the bar, and all of a sudden out of nowhere you flip the switch from this
Mm,
"Woohoo, I'm having a great day," to this, "What in the hell just," and you're mad at everybody, you're upset, you're emotional. Have you ever thought that maybe you just sucked in all that energy of Cindy Lou Who down over
yeah.
there in Smith's, and she flipped us? People are not aware sometimes, they think it's them. They
Mm,
think it's them, and
yeah.
then it's just layers and layers and layers piled on, and so
Yeah.
enlightenment for me, for one, it's not just one thing.
No.
It's everything, but it's also trying to take the chance. We're not perfect and God knows we all make mistakes. But it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. I made mistakes, but those mistakes, no matter how shitty they were and the people I hurt, as long as you try every day to do better than yesterday and you
Mhm.
forgive yourself, because
Mhm.
that self, that those things that you did that were really shitty and hurt
Mhm.
a lot of people, believe it or
Mhm.
not, they got you sometimes where you are today. And
100.
forgiving yourself for
Mhm.
those shitty things that you did, you know?
Yeah.
But people like to
Yeah.
shove that back, and then they have a hard
Yeah.
time coming into alignment with their self
Mhm. Yeah.
because they shove
One
it
of
back
the
and they hide it.
one of the key things that I actually learned that the divine told me, and it was a huge, powerful message that I received, and it is a video up on my platform on TikTok, is truly when you are forgiving yourself, you're releasing that energetic bondage and tie and attachment to everyone else that was involved in that scenario when you forgive yourself. Even when you forgive
Yeah.
another, right? If let's say that, okay, we're going to get deep here for a minute, all right? When you said it's not just people, all right? There are so many different types of level of spiritual attack. It's not even funny. And the
Yeah.
seminar on the 6th is going to be huge. But when we understand and recognize the energies and what they're doing to us in the mind, most all attacks start in the mind, but it starts with exactly what you're saying, our lower level chakras of ourself, when our base and and that root and that sacral and the solar, when those things are in a lower form of vibration, that's what those energies attach to, right?
Yep.
So then these cracks that you have are seeping wounds, and those seeping wounds is what that energy attaches to. But one of the things that I learned as a trait in shamanism is not only did that teach me about me, but that taught me how to transmute and transform the energy into something greater, in something higher, in something more relatable and passionable and desirable. And so when people start to really come into alignment, like you are speaking of, when they start to flip and change that perspective shift, which is what I was always told, is that the miracle is the perspective shift.
Yep.
Because it's an old paradigm of something that somebody said or something you told yourself that has gotten rooted in the subconscious mind. right? And
I've been
so
told forever.
it's the obtrusion of the illusion that you then have succumbed to dummy yourself down. That's where then you have to take accountability, because then you have to change everything around. So what you are moving through is chakra alignment at the same time that you are
Mhm.
going through the battlegrounds of the mind and the heart and the soul. But what you're actually being taught simultaneously is spiritual war.
Yeah.
And you are. And these levels of growth, like when you go to those places and spaces and you consume that energy, you're learning how closely connected you are to everything else,
Yep.
how closely connected you absorb energy, and how important it is for you to take care of your auric field. So then what is that doing? That's teaching you sovereignty, spiritual boundaries, enlightenment about yourself. So when you even start in the smallest of mind, like you were speaking about, it opens up this heart space that connects you to something more. And something
Mhm.
I was told by a beautiful mentor over 20 years ago told me, "You're going to have to do one thing." I said, "What's that?" "Change everything." So when you want to start and reprogram the mind, you have to start and change everything. Because if you don't
Everything.
start and change the physical things around you, you can't get the brain to change. Because the brain is so stuck in what it's used to and what it's supposed to do rather than what it feels like it needs to do, that you run on that rat race. So I started teaching people a long time ago to change the way that they do things. If when they get up and they wake up in the morning, right? Instead of reaching for the phone, why don't you just say thank you? Instead of getting out of bed right away and going to have a smoke and scroll, go to the bathroom, look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself gratitude for being awake that day, which is giving yourself and giving the divine gratitude at that time. So when you start to change these little tiny behaviors, the thoughts and the way that your clients and my clients, in a sense, perceive themselves changes the whole ball game.
Mhm.
Then then and this is the next part that I want to get to. Then when you start to change those things, Heather, you start to go to the overactive. You fucking say too much, you do this too much, you think you're supposed to do all these things too much. And then in spirituality, it becomes, guess what, another shadow, another character defect, right?
Yeah.
Because when you go overboard, you're like, whoa. Eventually spirit and the divine will knock you down again, going, whoa,
They
this is
doing it.
way too much, you're out of line, you're out of balance, you got your hands in too much shit, you got so all of that, right? To
And
then
then it
find
goes,
that equilibrium. So where are instances in your places and spaces that, okay, you come from these lower things and then all of a sudden everybody kind of goes into this spiritual kind of little psychosis, right?
"Oh,
And they're
yeah."
all like, oh, like, the God's gift, right? And that they have all these supernatural powers, right? And then they go they go overboard,
They
right?
do, they
And
do, yeah.
they go overboard, only to come to a very nice sweet balance of understanding, understanding, and overstanding. And then as they go on through their journey, of course, things even make more sense in their own pertinent journey. And like we said, not any one of us does the things the same. We do have same similar natural talent, skills, and abilities, but how we perceive those things, receive those energies, and are the bridge between those things is very different in our authenticity and makes up many different parts and fractals and pieces of us.
Yeah.
So, how was it for you in working with people when you would see clients where they would come from this lower space? Because for me personally, it was a lot about I had to trick people into believing in themselves until they realized it was no trick at all. So at first,
Right?
you're like coddling and hand holding this way, right? And then the next thing that you're doing is you're like, okay, we got to tone this ego down just a little bit. So, how do you deal with that with your clients when, like, you can see and sense that things are over powerful in their alignment there?
So, in those sessions that we do, there's body code and emotion code. And a lot of people are like, well, what is that? We don't even understand what that is. And we talk about tethers and cords and being born in utero. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
understand that whatever the mother's going through, guess what? Is being transferred emotionally
Yes.
to the child. So,
Yes.
example, I was 17 when I had my twins. Twins,
Hmm.
17, alone
Yeah.
in the
That's a
world.
lot.
The anxiety.
Yeah.
pushing that all so I can look at my kids now and see, oh crap. So when I step into somebody and Missy gets them balanced out, we get the energy open. And a lot of times when we're sitting there, I can feel that they're not moving. Like there's no flow in them at all. Like everything is shut down. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And as
Mhm.
I start tapping in, then I start recognizing, well, you've kind of lost your oomph to go. You used to go do A, B, or C. How come you're not doing that anymore? Well, how come you're not?
Mhm.
So we work through that part and then we start opening up to releasing the things that we've held on to our whole life being put in that mold, right? And when
Yeah.
you have a client that is they're nervous,
Mhm.
they're you can tell they're nervous and Missy's over there releasing left and right and everything is going. And I'll take a client we had, for instance, not too long ago. Missy was pulling and I mean, they were like, okay,
Oh,
I
no.
don't quite understand what this is. And so
Mhm.
they're kinda laying there and Missy will start pulling something that's like maybe a toxin to a plant, and they're like, "No, not been around any, like, poison oak," or, "Yeah, no," and maybe when I was but Missy's like, "No, this is back from a long time ago," and Missy come up with whatever spirit told her the name. I
Mhm.
disappeared.
Mhm. Yeah. We can't
You can't
see the
see me?
Wi-Fi, I think, went out. We can hear
Oh, you
you,
can hear,
but
okay.
we can't see
You
you, but
can't
we
see
can hear
me.
you.
Okay, well,
We
I'm
can hear
good
you.
then, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we know what you look
Okay.
like. It's all right.
So anyway,
As long as we can hear
I'm
you.
like, "Whoa, wait a minute." There's and Missy will come up, the lady, I could feel the shift in her. And all of a sudden, that's when her solar opened up and her heart opened up because it was like Missy's
Yeah.
like, "No, this is a plant." And she's like, "Oh my god. I did when I was little. I had
Mhm.
I was it was a microbial poison that she had that she was holding the energy of her body."
Mhm.
And she looked over at Missy, and the minute she was like, "Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about." Because you're right, we don't. We have no idea.
Mhm.
We just see it. We don't know what time. Well, sometimes I get an age, but
Right.
then they weaken and they're like, holy crap. And then you feel that solar. And they're like, wait a minute. And then
Release.
I
Yeah.
start feeling the heart, and the heart starts beating
Mhm.
like crazy. And then the
Mhm.
tears come. And
Mhm.
when they walk in that room, the tears come, and 90% of them are like, I don't know why I'm even crying. I shouldn't be crying. And they try to shut it down
Yeah.
every stinking time. And the
Yep,
fact of
they
the
do.
matter is, I remember something that stuck in my head. Those tears are badges of honor for every
Yeah.
goddamn thing you've been through in your life. Don't stall
Every
those out,
prayer.
sweetheart. Do
Yeah, let
not
it go.
stall. You gotta let them go to flow.
Yeah.
And so when you allow somebody to do that, they all of a sudden, when I feel their body connect and those chakras go and
Open.
their
Yeah.
belief system open up, I
Transfer. Yeah.
literally will see layers
Mhm.
come off of them. And they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god," that believe in their self, like, "Oh my god, it is something. That
Yeah.
is something I can believe in. There is more to that," and bringing them
Mhm.
up and out. But I'll also tell
Mhm.
you, sometimes when I'm working with a client, there
Mhm.
is I'm a seer and I see and feel,
Mhm.
so I'll feel what their
Mhm.
body's feeling. That's how I kinda know which direction I'm going. But there will
Mhm.
be times when all of a sudden spirit will take me to an example of a house,
Mhm.
and there's a door, and we try
Mhm.
to I'll open the door and I'll see a little young version of that person
Mhm.
in that moment in
Behind the door.
time.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, wait a minute, this is something. And sometimes they will let me help them walk into her, because see, this is the thing, I'm not the
Mhm.
one that can walk in on my end of it. This is
Mhm.
my now you got to understand it's always different for other people, but on my
Mhm.
end of it, I they will allow their higher self to walk in to that little girl, to that situation, work out the situation, whatever it was, right? At a certain
Mhm.
age and time that they had
Mhm.
locked behind a door that they didn't want pulled
Mhm.
forward.
Mhm.
And their higher self will go in and will talk with that little girl and work some things out and give her love and acknowledgement and
Mhm.
presence and thank
Mhm.
you. And we close
Mhm.
up that door. And that's something, a block that we have created our whole life. but a
Mhm.
lot of times we don't recognize we have that room
Yeah.
blocked away with that younger version of us. And
Mhm.
it can be a really jacked up, okay, it's
Yeah.
kind of a brain fuck.
It is.
It is.
110%.
And in that moment in
110%.
time, they will either scatter and
Mhm.
it can literally, just before we open that door, it literally looks like they can it when I say scatter, that's the
Mhm.
energy scatter. To me,
Correct.
that's what, and it literally, they can either scatter
Mhm.
or they can pull it up into a string and walk in that door. And that's the
Yeah.
visuals I get every time I walk through like that.
Uh, well, you're 110 110% because what you're seeing is you're seeing pieces and parts of that energy body completely fragmented.
Mhm.
So, like, when I do healings and stuff like that too, in respect to exactly what you're speaking of, they'll show me where the solar plexus is fragmented, right? And it might be pieces or this, that, and the other. So when I'm doing walking past, right? And if I'm dream walking in a sense, and I'm walking past exactly what you're speaking of, and there's a little version of that, just to give people understanding what you're doing here on a deeper level, because it's huge what you're doing. And I don't want to discredit or discount that because the way it sounds is very superficial.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is on a whole different level because what you're doing is what I do in a different way. You are delivering them of that trauma, of that bondage, and you are helping that energy of where they were stuck in that moment, in that lifetime, and you are delivering them up off the table and reconnecting them with their whole selves again.
Yeah.
That is nothing small. So
Yeah.
when you're doing what you're doing the exact same things I
That
do in
Yep.
a similar but different way when we are
Yep.
asked to relieve somebody of that bondage, of that trauma. They don't know how to open the door. They don't know how to relieve themselves of that bondage. And when the divine spoke over me many times and told me relieving the bondage of thyself. I was like, oh, now I understand this. I understand what's going on here. You are relieving people of those past spaces and faces and all those radiant things when you vibrate in that way to help that person not be led astray in that moment, in that time, because we have to remember that time here is not linear. It's all
It's
happening now.
in
So
the
if
Yep.
you're in that moment simultaneously, but you're helping that energy of that is stuck there, of that little tiny energy body, relieve itself of the trauma or of the bondage and walk them back to the sacred essence of self. There is so much that comes up after that. And it's not just once, it's not just twice. This is why I've always said the spiritual life is not a theory. You have to eat it, sleep it, breathe it, and live it to be in alignment.
Yeah.
Because when you do the work that you do like that, yes, it's immaculate and it's huge, but get ready because that's when all the other energies of the enemies keep trying to come back and pull that piece back and pull that piece back.
Yep.
And so every time you level up, guess what? We always say it, new levels, new devils, right? Well, it's similar energy. It just looks different. It's wearing a different mask.
Yep.
Okay? It's a
Sometimes
different
it's familiar
same
to
energy,
us.
different meat suit.
Yep.
Okay? And so not only are you teaching people when you do this to help connect back to themselves, you're getting them to believe in themselves again, to trust themselves again, to be able to discern for themselves again because what washes over them next is the next step that the divine has already had planted before them to stay in alignment. Like nothing in this world is by mistake. You did what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it, how you said you were going to do it. It happened how it was supposed to happen, when it was supposed to happen, how it was supposed to happen. And exactly like you were speaking about, like all those things that you went through relieved you of some space to put you in some higher space and place. And that's part of the alignment is Mm, the surrenderance there in that moment in space to release that emotion because we know that emotions are energy in motion. And so when you have these energies in motion, it depletes us physically, mindfully, bodily. But when you release a piece of that trauma with that person that is in bondage in that moment,
Mhm.
they have such a new profound perspective of themselves and
I do.
of life and of things all around, that then what happens is you're like the key holder to the gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? Because you hold the key to help them see within them authentically what is misplaced. We won't say broken because nothing's ever broken, right? It
No.
will just say it was misplaced, right?
Yeah.
Because certain things were left unspoken at that moment, at that time, at that place, with that energy of that child. And so you are going back in a parallel reality in that moment, in that time, in that space, simultaneously, to help that energy align with the highest accordance of its destiny this lifetime, to transcend whatever it has to do. And this is why it's so important to have the overall energy work of alignment.
Mhm.
And when you're speaking of those things, I just even wanted you to see the depth of the level of what you're doing and what it brings to the community. Because when you affect somebody like that, as you know, that energy then goes out into the world.
Oh,
That energy
100%.
that then goes out into the world, you are affecting families, you are affecting generations, you are affecting communities, you are affecting energies beyond these realms that you can understand, that intertwine with us
Yeah. Well, and
to move
Stella, I
mountains.
think I think you can agree with this. There are so many people that are feeling it, feeling the energy, feeling
Mhm.
the word like, hey, there's something more. There's so many people that are starting to step into their gifts and they
Yes.
don't recognize them. That's what it is, because they're getting hit with these
Yeah.
balls of energy out of freaking
Yeah.
nowhere that's making them whack, and it's all anxiety. And I
Mhm.
remember when I first
Mhm.
started tapping into that collective energy, I kid you
Mhm.
not, it would make me
Mhm.
sit on the floor and rock back and forth. I was like, I'm going to a padded room. This is it. I would call my kid and I'd be like, I don't know what's happening, and then I'd just start seeing all these things and I couldn't slow it down and couldn't make sense of it. And I was like,
Mhm.
I have literally, and you got to understand, I was born and raised here. Everybody knew me.
Yeah.
I drove people around town for 8.5 years, you know? And so
Oh,
to step out and go, guess what I'm doing now? Like that
yeah.
was so uncomfortable. But I also realized that you leave when you
Mhm.
level up, you get to a different vibration and you do leave people that you care about and that matter,
Mm.
but it's
Mm.
your decision if you're gonna they're not lost forever and it doesn't make them good, bad, or indifferent,
No.
but you have to decide if you're gonna stop allowing people to hold you back, and who
Yeah.
gives a shit what they think about it, as long as you're
Yeah.
feeling it. Like we talk about the mind part of it, but if
Yeah.
you just close your eyes for a minute and feel
Mhm.
your damn direction. Feel what feels good to
Mhm.
you. Feel
Mhm.
which way to move,
That's right.
but
Yeah.
there's so many people stepping into gifts right now and they have no idea what the hell they are. They have no
Mm.
idea what is happening to me. They think they're losing their damn minds. And I want to be here
Yeah.
to go, well, wait a minute. That's that's you're not losing your mind, I promise. This is a
Mhm.
rough patch and I'm here to help you maneuver through. And
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm here to help you heal. I'm here to help you maneuver as you, and you come across people that you need
Mhm.
to align with for a
Yeah.
purpose and for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to speak on that because you were really just give a deeper level to the understanding of how we may we may say and use these human words to describe things in spiritual order, but the level of what you're doing is of such high order, and it's to reorder the divine's children to be in the highest of alignment for their highest good and our highest timelines, to transcend into the spaces and the places where we don't have to uh, okay where it's just familiar faces and
Yeah.
it's a familiar energy, and it's a common ground of understanding and understanding, and there's a level of respect with when you come into connection with people who hold the integrity and hold the morals and hold the authenticity of the gift that they've been given to affect people's lives to rise. And for a moment, I just want to hold that deepest, profound respect for you and all the work that you've done over the last 5 years with people.
Oh,
And
thank
I understand where you're coming from when people come into these things and they're realizing these things. And for me, I come from a different space and place of I just knew these things always to be, and it's what I grew up in, and it's how I
Mhm,
was, and it's nobody could tell me differently. And um, there was a lot of I had no authority figures that could tell me what to do or how to do things or what that was. And so in that respect, I come of a different aspect of like seeing and hearing and feeling all this and being a part of the unseen. And
mm,
so I think when you come from a place in the space of these things rising, okay, reawakening to even deeper places and spaces of you, there starts to be compromising that you try to do, compromising. And you were talking about this a moment ago. Now, the compromise may not always look like it feels inside, but that's when you start to assume you think you know what you do. And part of that alignment then is coming into the soul. And
yeah.
the soul is telling you everything, right? And you're talking about the feeling, okay?
Mhm.
And you were talking about something a minute ago that is very spiritually profound to me and hits home and hits organically because there's a time and a space in my life over the last 8 years that I've been in this spiritual paradigm of social media and on different platforms. And there's been many times of versus many accord where you cut people off
Yeah,
and you have to do those things. And, in the beginning, it comes from a really kind of ruthless place because you see what's really happening and it's not just seeing and it's not just knowing, it's actually having physical proof of things and that people, do say whatever, right? And so when you come from those places and spaces, you also come from a place where this leads back to generational stuff. And so
yep,
like you have that generational wound then that comes up within the soul that makes you feel like you have to prove something or you have to have this place within this embrace of sorry, I got this
yeah.
red dot in my face and it's like coming from the sun of the
No, you
computer
look
and I'm
fine.
like no. All right. So what's happening is that you come to a place of then realizing where you compromised
Yeah.
with yourself because everybody around you thought you were wackadoodle, right? And
Right?
nobody believed you. Okay.
Yeah,
Nobody believed you, right? But your
nobody.
soul knows, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Now I'm really this is where the mind plays again into the soul.
Mhm.
I have told people about multiple different things forever and ever and ever, and God bless them. And people come back and it's like it's all happening. You're saying everything, and I'm like, I know. And it's not that people don't believe you. There's a difference in the energy you can feel when somebody can't perceive you,
Mhm,
okay? Because
mhm.
they just can't perceive you, versus when somebody just downright doesn't believe you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so that is where you have to then your mind has to be even stronger to conquer what the outside
ah,
energy is telling you within your soul. So that your
yeah,
soul is telling you that you know and that you're
yeah,
right. And this is a part of the alignment, right? So we've had the heart, we've talked about the mind and how those things. Now we're talking about how the soul retwines with the mind again. Okay. It's like the figure eight, right? It's the loop again. First, you have like a loop within your own head, within a loop. Then you've got the loop within your own heart space. And this goes back and forth between the head and the heart and feeling and learning that the discernment of what your heart's telling you. Because you have to remember our heart is that electromagnetic frequency, right? So it's
yeah,
going to feel everything. And like you said earlier, a lot of that anxiety isn't even ours, but it makes us feel that way, right? Well,
yep,
that's our heart space and it's what's picking up the energy first. Well,
yep,
then I've always said that our solar plexus is literally the safety net of the body.
yep,
And so then what you're doing is you're teaching people on a soul level how to divine, how to then what happens is the mind is going to try to overtake the soul and tell the soul that it's crazy, it's out of line, it's wackadoodle, but your soul's going, no, no, there's something here to this. I just can't figure it out yet. How
doubt.
is it that you have worked in that process with the divine personally to then come from, the head and the heart space to then going into the
Oh,
head and
man.
the soul place to to believe, because you and I have
It
had
was
many
hard.
occurrences where you're like, "Holy shit, Stell, you
The
fucking da
shit.
da 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 da." And I remember when you said it, and I'm like, "Yep, and I remember this, and I remember that, and blah 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 blah." And we do that, right? And
Yeah.
that, I think, puts us more in a place of that truth, of that trust. But um how is it that that comes about for you when you go through that place between the head and the
Oh,
solar
I'm
plexus
telling
then?
you. And you know what? It still happened. Like
Yeah.
it still happens just because I'm doing what I'm doing. It's the
Mhm.
human it's a
Yeah.
human thing to have doubt, right?
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, I have lost friends. I almost
Mhm.
lost a marriage.
Mhm.
But the crash of losing my mother is what
Mhm.
really made me step into this.
Okay, good.
And I was you're right. I had people around me, and this is the
Mhm.
thing. People know me in this town. They've known me for years because Heather drove tipsy taxi for 8.5
Mhm.
years. Now, what was that? I drove people to and from the bar so they wouldn't get in a car accident. Did I charge them anything? Hell no, but they got home safe and sound. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
people knew me that way, but they
Mhm.
didn't know this side of me. And
Mhm.
so I kept it hid for a long time. I had one
Mhm.
foot in and one foot
One
out.
foot out.
And I
You
was
can't
trying, and
yeah.
I ran my own business. I ran my own business. I had a cleaning business for 26 years. Hell, I had clients that I started out with 26 years ago, I still had. And I was trying to do this, and Spirit kept saying, "This is where you're going to be." And
Mhm.
me and Missy connected so much. And Missy kept saying, "You can do this." And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And you got to understand, me and Missy didn't know each other very long in this whole
Mhm.
endeavor. Like, it
Yeah.
literally, we knew each other maybe 30 days
Mhm.
when I said, "I guess I'm doing this." And then I was in both places for quite a while. I was still trying to
Yeah,
clean
you had
house.
your foot, yeah.
I had my foot in both places, and I kept having these really weird dreams. And now,
Mhm.
mind you, the people around me, the doubt, this is where the doubt come in,
Yeah.
because the people around me, my family, my
Oh, dude,
extended
that's the
family,
worst.
my
That's the
friends,
worst.
it's the worst because they all kn and so this is what they would do. They either would be like, "Oh, bullshit," or else they just completely isolated away from me, and you
Yep.
could feel it. Like, I would show up to a party, and they would just kinda, like, slowly walk away, because then they're like, "Oh, shit, what does she know?" This is the thing, I don't run around tapping into people. I'm not gonna be one of those people that
Not
is in the
watching.
unless Spirit says, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
But Spirit pretty much leaves me alone when I'm out.
Yep.
They don't leave me alone. That's a
They
lie. They're
well,
but,
they're always
they don't
running in the
they're
background because 'cause they've always
yeah,
got some type of commentary going
there's
on, but
exactly.
usually they do leave me alone to some degree of
Yeah.
75,
When you're
percent. There's still that 25 back there, the peanut gallery.
Yeah, when you're trying to, I mean, you
Mhm.
got grocery store, we still have human lives to live, right?
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
not going to be the one that runs up and says, "Oh, that's not me." There's people that do that, and that is their job. But I do sometimes do that. Just because I don't say it doesn't mean I don't know it. And unless
Yeah.
they keep coming at me and saying, "No, you need to do this." So I'm
Yes.
not one that runs around. And this is what I decided. I kept myself so capped off because I would see all these other psychics, and I respect them. So, I mean, the ones I follow, I respect highly.
Mhm.
There is one that is in Utah, and she is freaking amazing. And I have known her for a long time.
Mhm.
And she is the Salt Lake medium. And Joanne, I love her dearly, but I kept her above me. And I
Mhm.
would say things like, "Man, I wish I could, one day I could be like her." And, and one day I had this epiphany that was like, wait a minute, Heather, if you keep holding people above you, then
Mhm.
that's putting doubt in you. You're just
Mhm.
as good as her, you just do it different. I
Yeah.
do things different than she does things,
Mhm.
and I still highly respect her. It doesn't mean anything against her in any cross way,
No.
but what I was doing to myself was holding
Mhm.
myself below her, and
Yeah.
I was, like, one day striving, and then it clicked, and I was like, "You know what? I'm different, I'm
Mhm.
me. People, I'm not
Mhm.
everybody's cup of tea, but you know
Mhm.
what? I'm a pretty damn good cup of tea if you like me." And I've always
Mhm.
ran my cleaning business that way. So I just,
Mhm.
but I had both hands in, both feet in a fire. I was cleaning, I
Mhm.
was trying to be in the studio part time doing my thing. And I'd been having these visions. Spirit kept telling me, my mother kept coming in and being like, "Heather Ann, you need to pick a lane."
Mm,
And recently, I lost my mama, and I was like, "Pick a lane, what the hell do they mean?" And I just kept
mhm,
having these visions like I was gonna have to make a choice. I was gonna
mhm.
have to make a choice. I was gonna have to walk away from everything I knew to make money, income-wise,
Yep,
and take a chance in myself and spirit. And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh God, I couldn't no, what do you mean? That's my income. There's no." And so I kept having these visions. Well,
Mhm,
long about October 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
mhm,
October 3 years ago, I was trying to remodel my mom's house,
mhm.
and I fell through the subfloor. And it was really weird because I kept having these spirit kept telling me, "You need to pick a lane," and I just wouldn't do it. Well, I fell through the subfloor at my mother's, and I ripped, and it could have been so much worse. I mean, I could have been hurt really bad, but it
Talk
it
about a
kind of just
spiritual flat tire to put you on your
right,
ass to see where your
right.
destiny is.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what they said. I fell through that subfloor and tore those muscles and that rib. And Spirit, no kidding you. Like 2 days later, Spirit was like, "You went pick a lane, and we picked it for you." And I was like, "I can't do this. There's no way I could make money this way." And Spirit said, "You will make money. You will make it happen, or you walk away now. This is
Do
your
you know
option."
what you just described happened to me 5 times in my life with every time
You
yes.
Yep, and for 10 weeks, I had to sit in this desk, sit at
Yep.
this table, and by God, and that's when, and every single person that came in gave me a little bit more. And I believed, but I didn't believe in
Mhm.
myself. I believed in
Yep.
spirit to get me there, but I didn't
Yeah.
believe that I was good enough for people. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
people
Yeah.
started coming in, and I was like, "Holy shit." And then I started getting confirmation, and they were like, "Heather,
Mhm.
when you said," and I was like, "Well, shit." And spirit would be like, "I told you." But then I was still holding others above me, and spirit
Mhm.
kept saying, "You're just as good, honey. You're just not the same. Quit comparing yourself to other
That's
people."
the
Lost
Well,
family
that makes
members.
complete sense to me
Yeah.
when we're talking about the chakra system because that's the lower level energy of the chakra system of the ego that's putting making you compare yourself to others,
Yeah.
right? Because it's you that's in the spirit of comparison. So when in my world, in my language, when we say we're dealing with the spirit of comparison, it's it's mostly ourselves comparing us to other things to get us to be able to perceive ourselves from an outside space of reality so that we can believe in ourselves. So I understand why the subconscious, it's like a reverse ego kind of tactic, why
It
we go
is.
there. But
Yeah.
you said something that was very poignant and very pungent here that I don't want to miss. That they're not, that's why my ear was itching because they're like, you got to say something, don't miss it. And I'm like, I'm not going to miss it. It's okay. And it was huge what you said. You were talking a little while ago about people knew you, but they didn't know you as
This way.
to the well, here's the thing. You've always been this way,
Yeah, I
but
have.
you didn't know your soul level of destiny, right? So of
Yep.
course nobody else could know who you
Yep.
truly were in your own divinity, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, but people about the belief, right? The believe you, the
Yep.
believe you, the believe you, right? I want to take you back to something that's even more potent to understanding, right? Our family, our closest of friends,
Oh, yeah.
okay? Even our clients, all
Yep.
right, are going to be the ones that emotionally drop us the most. Why? Because they don't believe, just exactly like they didn't believe Yeshua. They didn't believe the healing. They didn't believe the message. They didn't believe. But if ye went out into the world, amongst many of different places and spaces, many believed him and
Yep.
saw the healing and saw what they were doing. So sometimes the energy of the enemies will use those closest people around us
Yep.
to keep us in a cycle of not believing and compromising within ourselves. And so, on another level here of spirituality and in alignment, what you're talking about looks very much like where we attack ourselves, but then we accumulate spiritual attacks because of the energy that we lack within our own confidence and our own skills within our solar plexus. So that's like one of the last things that you really have to build that you were speaking about on this spiritual journey because the divine will move you.
Yep.
I'm not kidding.
They will.
The divine will move you.
Where you're supposed
I
to
have
be.
firsthand experience.
Yep.
I told people for 4 years in things that I saw, and They will move you and they will
Yeah,
cause
well,
spiritual flat tires on purpose, but you have to learn it's not see, this is where we go good or bad, good or bad, good or bad, and that's part of our soul level of growth. There is no good or bad. It's
there's not.
putting you into the highest alignment in which you spoke in contract before you chose to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just you learning this level of where you align to, and that what you're speaking, the belief is the interceding of the divine, of your soul coming back online and back in connection with that life force energy of the divine, of Yeshua, of God, of unity of masculine and feminine energy and universal properties.
Yeah.
And we really do here fight spiritual principalities, is what we are fighting in
Yeah.
our physical realities. And that's how the level of the energy uses ourselves against us to not believe, not to be able to perceive, not to be able to conceive these realities in which it's projected upon ourselves to get us to succumb to ourselves. So I wanted to pull that layer out in depth because it was very important what you were speaking about, of the level of comparison of you shutting yourself down.
Yep.
And for a while, it was other people.
Yeah,
It
it was.
was. It
It
was, right? For
and
a
well,
while, it
and
was
I
other
still
people.
it still
Yeah,
is. I still have,
it can be. Yeah,
but I can tell you this, over time
yeah,
of they have the no, I wouldn't say non-believers because listen, everybody's got to get to their own belief, but I
yes,
wouldn't say
yeah,
non, but the people that I've been close to for a very long time, maybe they're still a little bit fearful. I don't know of what, but I I
because
have
we know too
learned that it
much, but
doesn't
we
really
don't know.
matter. I have
Yeah,
learned that if I feed into their worry and their embarrassment or their non-belief, then guess what? That's going to put me right back in the ocean and I can cross them on a
yep,
path during the day and wish the best for them even though because look, we're nobody's goddamn perfect in a day. And we're all put in these boxes and we're all put in these molds and you have to look and be like, well, maybe that reaction is because that was their belief growing up their whole entire
yeah,
life. Listen,
yeah,
I'm a black sheep Mormon. Let's be
hmm,
honest. I'm born and raised in Utah. And my God, our whole family's generation after generation are Mormon. My grandma, great grandma was so proud of the statue at the city park because, well, lo and
hmm,
behold, yeah, he's family member, but he's also a damn polygamist. But
right,
those are things that, this is you're Mormon. This is what you do. I've never fit into that mold neither. I never fit into the
right.
Mormon mold.
No, there was no.
I never seen it one way. My whole life,
Mhm,
I never seen it one way. I always, and that's what pissed people off a lot. And you can vouch for this, Stella.
yeah,
When people would get so irritated because at me because they want to be mad in the moment at somebody, really freaking mad at somebody in the moment, and I'm over there going, but what if A, B, or C happened? Because I can
mhm,
see above the situation, right? So I'll be
right,
there. Well, what if A, B, and C happened, and you don't know what they're going through, and they would get madder than hell at me, and be like,
yep,
why are you picking a side? Well, I'm not picking a side.
and
I just see the other side to
mhm,
it, but I also see who they can be if they'll step into it. And
you
it'll
yeah, you
irritate the
see it,
hell out of people when I'm like, but I know who they can be. I know I
yeah,
because I can see the other version. Me and Missy's had a few conversations, and I'm like, no, friend, they can't give up because I know who they can be. And she's like, Heather, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And sometimes it's a lesson for me to learn
mhm,
that they're not ready. And I have to be okay with that, just like that.
mhm,
Like, we
mhm,
can only go as far as we're allowed, and then Spirit's
mhm,
like, "No, we've done enough, we're shutting you down now." And when Spirit
yeah.
says we're enough, then they shut us down and we move on.
And that's part of the beauty though, because we can only do so much before that soul has to start and take what we have taught and put it into
Yep.
practice, because that's what makes a good mentor, a good leader, right?
Yeah.
We are able to give you exactly what you need in order to help you get from point A to point B. And sometimes we know,
Yeah.
other times we don't
We
know.
don't. Yeah.
But at that moment in time, you're always getting exactly what you need in those moments to rise, and then it's not to keep coming back, it's to teach you how to take these tools to do this for yourself and to help others as you move into the authenticity of your divine soul and what you're here to do and what your niche is and how you perceive things in this reality to be for you.
Yeah. Well, and Stella, I'll tell you this. My main goal and what I tell all my clients and everybody when I do my lives is you heal when you share your story with others. Not only do
Mm,
you heal yourself, but
mm,
you heal them also, because then for
mhm.
that moment in time, guess what? They're not alone. They don't feel
Yeah,
alone in the pain
yeah.
that they have gone through. They don't
Hmm.
feel alone. And to do what we do doesn't mean that we don't have bad stuff and we see everything coming and all the naysayers and, well, you should have seen that. Guess what? When I have an issue, guess who I go to? Missy or Stella. When
Hmm.
Stella, you know what I mean? We don't usually do stuff for ourselves because I mean we see stuff, but as far as really, I follow what I hear. I do what I'm
Hmm.
meant to. But if I'm really stuck on something, I'm
Yeah,
tapping it out with you or Missy.
yeah.
If I'm struggling, it's
Hmm.
and then you get the non-believers that do that, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, blah, blah, blah." Well, yeah, I didn't see that coming. Sorry, I didn't see that
We
coming.
don't we don't see for ourselves. That's part
Yeah,
our
we
gifts are
don't.
not for us.
Yeah,
Our gifts are for everyone else. So when we come into understanding, we are given exactly what we need to see within ourselves in that moment of reality. We really do get breadcrumbs for ourselves because
yeah, we do.
that's that's us learning how to trust the voice of reason,
Yeah,
and then we are able to give those things to everyone else but ourselves, and that's because we're under divine obedience to do
yeah,
things like that too. And not only that, but the level of honor and respect that you start to have for yourself and that you start to have for everyone else is a different plane when you can see things from that space
yeah,
and what you're doing.
yeah.
And no, we don't know what that's been my slogan since I built Four Corners Healing 8 years ago now, is literally, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. My mother in law said it out here. She's like, I was like, oh, she was doing some stuff out in the yard last night, right?
Hmm.
New moon in Virgo.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. This is very old, wise crone, but she doesn't know. Okay. And she's outside and she's got this is the funny shit that happens around me that I giggle at. She's got this big old flower pot and it's maroon, and she's dug up all these rocks out of the back garden and she's starting to lay them out in this beautiful just pathway design. This lady is like 76 years old, okay? And she's these big ass fucking boulders, dude, that she's pulling out the ground and just making this pathway. And then she comes over with this big old flower pot, and there's dirt in the flower pot. And then inside the flower pot, there's fucking cedar and rosemary and this and tree branches and shit. And I go, I like it. She goes, you do? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's beautiful. It smells great. And she goes, I was just trying to keep the mosquitoes away. And I was like, themselves different. And oh, she goes, I was just
I just yeah, no idea. We're just doing it. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
And that
And that's the feeling.
I always tell everybody when they call me or they book a session or when they come in and sit down, I'll be like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little bit of a wild card because I don't stay in a lane. What do you mean? Well, it could be spirit, it could be archangels, it could be healing, it could be guided message, it could be any.
Yeah,
I could be sitting there and I could be like, oh, at age 6, there's a crest on your lifeline on your palm, and blah blah blah. And I'm not even
right,
looking at the palm, and they're like, holy shit, because I don't stay in a lane.
right.
I'm not meant to.
Mm-mm,
There are some people that are expert in certain things, and there's voodoo and hoodoo and
mhm.
all the woodoos and everything else, right? That's not my job though,
Yeah.
you know? And once people
No,
understand that, they
yeah.
get a little bit more comfortable. Some do, some don't. I don't know. But Stella, I think we're in for a hell of a ride. I'm here for it. Listen, I'll saddle that old mare up and I'll keep running her and we'll have a good old time. I think it's gonna be a hell of a ride.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to come into these next couple
Yeah.
years of what's going on spiritually speaking, and there has been so much science and spirituality that has been able to relate in understanding energy, understanding our energy body, understanding the development of what we truly are rather than who,
Mhm.
and a lot of the things that we've talked about here today have been, those things of how these kind of things play out in alignment for ourselves, and the pathways of leading us to the divine, which is truly ourselves.
Yeah.
It's ourselves. It's a piece of us. It's a piece of us that we do truly know so well, but we have to remember.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's really cool and really cute because spirit takes me back to about the age of 9. And I can know that it was I don't everything felt like a dream state then.
Yeah.
And the more that I come into alignment with what the divine has laid before me, which means a lot of different things. It means watching my energy body. It means being mindful. It means taking care of my temple. It means being in alignment with my structure of my obedience and my spirituality. And that's huge right now because of all the planet shifts that we got
Holy
going on.
crap. Yeah.
So many people are coming into their spirituality and what it means
Yep.
and redefining that for themselves, and this is where I start to really see and perceive the collective opening up to believe something greater than itself really has a hand on its structure inside. And I really see the divine in every pulse and every heartbeat right now that's moving.
Yeah. Shit, right? Well, and isn't that funny?
It's
Because
an
people will be
open.
like, it's just, you don't know. People will call me and be like, do you remember when we did that session? Do you remember when you said? And I'm like, that was a week ago. And I
Yeah,
literally, once I'm done with the session, it's gone. Very
yeah,
rarely will they pull it back for me. If I
yeah,
ask, I can get it. But
yeah.
listen, that's not my information to keep. It's
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
not. It's not my
no,
information to keep. And it is a
no.
confidential, these sessions are confidential, like, you
Yeah.
know that. They're just like
Hmm.
a therapy session, let's say. They're completely
Hmm.
confidential.
Yeah,
We keep everything private. They're well you
of course.
but, the healing that can be done,
Hmm.
it's so much when you release, and you know this,
Hmm.
Stella, when you release some of this the doubt and the molds and the things that you have been
Yeah,
raised under, when you
right.
start to release those old belief patterns and those things, it's so
Huge.
much lighter, and it's almost like I can look at things now where I would have
Mhm.
overreacted, maybe let's go back 15 years ago. My
Mhm.
reaction now is completely nowhere. I'm be like, oh well, shit, all right, how are we going to maneuver this? But
Yeah.
I would have never my your back sometimes for a lot of people, they have to literally have their back up against the wall and be like, "You know what?
Yeah.
I know there's more than this pain. I know
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
more than this pain. There's
Yeah.
something that will bring me out." And that's when they start tapping in and being like, I need help. I want it. I want to be
Yeah.
better." And that's
Yeah.
where we come in, and we're like, "Okay, we'll just run around and sprinkle sparkle on you and sparkle on you, and we'll help you understand who you are." But I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
this, it's not all laughter and fun and games, and you know that. You know how much pain is involved in an awakening. You know how much
Yeah.
pain is involved in this. We're not here
Yeah.
we're here to do a purpose. We're not here to
Yeah.
party.
It's the soul's level of growth, and
It is.
what what we perceive versus what truly is the false toxicity that's being removed right now. And so
Yeah,
the energy that you're speaking about is huge.
yeah.
Absolutely huge. Well, I look forward to working with you and Missy.
It's
Thank
gonna
you,
be so
Missy, for
exciting.
being supportive, for being in the background, for we can't see you because the camera's up, but we know you're
Yeah.
here.
I like
And
to be
thank
behind
you
the scenes
for
anyway.
being the support in the background, and thank you for, body and soul alignment. So where's your building located there in Utah, just so we know, so we can get it out there. Where you guys located?
So 81 South Main
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
Heber. We're about
Okay.
10 minutes, 15 minutes outside of Park City,
Okay.
uh,
Great.
out of Park City, Utah.
Yeah,
You
and
can
I know
contact
Heather
us.
is Heather Spiritual Connections that
Yep.
works in tandem with body and soul alignment, which is Missy and what you were speaking of
Yep.
earlier.
Body and Soul
Yeah,
Studios on Main Street. Yeah.
studios.
Yep.
Thank
Body
you.
and Soul Studios on Main Street. And I think we're gonna be doing we should get together and do a triple healing with all three of
Yeah.
us with
Oh,
somebody.
let's do
So
it. We
let's
will
do it.
we will plan that. Like we'll do a nice live collective and we can do that. I think
I
that would
think
be
we need
pretty
to.
powerful, pretty invasive. All right.
It
We might
would.
have to do some type of subscribers only, you know what I'm
Right?
saying? Put that
Yeah.
shit under lock and key or put it up as an event,
Yeah.
where people can come and do that and we can do it through Zoom because
Yeah.
I don't think that everybody would be able to handle that energy and I wouldn't want
Mm-mm.
any interference. So we can
Yeah, no.
definitely do something, and set something up where we can do a three-part,
Yeah.
seminar type of healing. I would love to do that with you ladies. I think that'd be an honor and a privilege. So
I
yeah,
think it'd be great.
let's talk
And
about it.
here's to many more, sweetheart.
Always and forever. Thank you guys for being here
Thank
today.
you,
Thank you,
Stella.
Heather. I greatly appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Love ya.
All right. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.